Sometimes people come to me and they're like, I cannot trust myself. And therefore I never execute decision-making because I don't trust that I'm going to make the right decision. And then other times people come to me and they say, I don't know what I need to work on. I just know I'm not a good leader because my team doesn't respect me. And I'll take that and I'll kind of pick at it and I'll say, okay, they're not respecting you. So tell me a little bit about your average day. And I'll kind of pull at the thread, so to speak, because I want to open that seam up and I want to see what's a little deeper. Because as leaders, we get really close to our own problems and that makes it really hard to step back. So in the beginning of working with each other, that's what's happening. We're working to identify some of the root causes of what is creating the leadership environment you have created as a leader. And then from there, it's different for every single client. Because some people work through really quickly and we'll touch on 5 or 6 different topics in a month. Other people, we're working on the same topic for 3 months, and that's okay. That's just what they need. That's how they learn. That's how they grow.
Welcome to Success Leaves Clues, the podcast where we interview business owners on how they built their businesses and the hard lessons they learned along the way. My name is David Swin, and I'm a business coach and the founder of Purple Circle, where we help business owners achieve their first 6-figure, 7-figure, and 8-figure year, all without sacrificing their quality of life. Before becoming a business coach and before founding Purple Circle, I started and scaled several 7- and 8-figure coaching businesses and have been a consultant at several businesses doing over $100 million each, including some that are publicly listed and doing over $1 billion each. In every episode of the podcast, you're going to learn lessons that took our guests years to learn, and you'll be able to learn that in minutes. No matter if you're a new business owner or an established business owner, every episode is going to give you the clues in order to elevate your business.
Welcome to Success Leaves Clues podcast. I'm Pedro. And today I'm joined by Alexandra Mahanna, founder of Alexandra Mahanna Leadership, whose a decade-plus experience leading enterprise-level initiatives across workforce development, succession planning, and change management has given her unique insight into why capable leaders sometimes struggle under pressure. Alexandra has managed large-scale operations and global teams while designing people-first programs that strengthen culture and deliver measurable impact across organizations. Alexandra focuses on helping leaders close the gaps in clarity, confidence, and connection that often remain invisible until high-stakes moments demand peak performance. Through coaching, leadership programs, and applied frameworks, she helps leaders make clearer decisions, communicate with greater confidence, and build trust-driven teams that perform consistently in complex environments. Welcome to the show, Alexandra.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
Yeah, great to have you, I'm kind of a comic book nerd myself, so I love that first edition, the origin story and all of that. So let's rewind a bit, because every coach has that moment when they look at their life and say, yeah, I guess this is what I'm doing now. Right. So when was that for you, Alexandra?
Well, for the official jumping in head first as a full-time, that was last year for me. I didn't really have an option. The government canceled a lot of contracts and I was working as a civilian contractor. So I needed to go out and find a new job or decide to put everything I had into something I was passionate about. And that is being a leadership coach. So I was thrown in head first, but at the same time, I kind of stumbled into coaching before I even knew that coaching was a real profession, if that makes sense. So I did this part-time for about 5 years before I started full-time. And at the time I was serving in the U.S. Navy, and I had the opportunity to move from a linguist position. I was serving as a Spanish linguist. And I moved into a learning and development role. And at some point pre-COVID, I was sent to a 2-day course called Lead as Coach. And to this day, grammatically, that drives me insane. But overall, that course really changed the trajectory of my life. And at the time, I had no idea that that was going to be the case, because who knew that 6 years later, I'd be launching a business in this realm, and that I could reflect back and pinpoint this exact moment in this 2-day course that I attended would really be that pivotal moment in my life. So overall, that course, I'd say in all my years in the military, it was the first time that I had seen leadership development approached differently. And instead of just telling people what to do, it focused on helping them think and grow and develop their own solutions. So I fell in love with that immediately because I don't like being told what to do. I really don't. And I'm not going to tell people what to do either. And I think that's what really drew me to coaching, because I could see the impact that it could have on an individual's confidence and their decision-making and their long-term growth overall. I enjoy helping people. I want them to think more clearly and to become more effective versions of themselves. So, long story short, that became my passion. That interest really became my passion, and ultimately it became the impact that my business has on my clients.
Very interesting. You kind of nailed it. My follow-up question. You're coming from the Army, right? Navy and all that, and they're used to tell people what to do. And I'm like, there will be some friction here at certain point, in the story. And there it is, right? You showed me that. So that's super interesting. Now I'm curious about one thing, right? Because it's an identity shift, especially in your situation, right? You're in the Navy and then you're moving towards coaching. So, and sometimes I feel like it because I'm a coach too, right? And I joke around the fact that sometimes it's those birthday parties and you're like used to tell who you are, what you do. And someone asks, hey, what do you do for a living? You're like, oh, I'm in the Navy. And now you're telling them you're into coaching. Right. So walk me through how did that identity shift went for you? How does that play out for you? Like, did you felt like, my God, am I really doing this? You know what I mean?
Hey, I think I still feel that to this day. I help people with things like imposter syndrome. And I think the only reason I'm able to do that is because I've experienced it myself. I'm amazed that I'm here. And some days I question and I go, how did I get here? And I have to reflect. So reflection is a lot of what I do and why I'm so confident in what I do, because I have the self-awareness of how I got here. And I think it's okay to question ourselves, because if we aren't questioning ourselves, I think we're losing the ability to get better. And as a coach, I need to continually work on myself to be better, because I'm in a profession where we are helping other people do the same.
So in a way, it feels like, especially with you mentioned imposter syndrome, right? You have skin in the game still, but in a way, you're serving past Alexandra, right? Like you went through the same steps. In a way, you're helping people to go through. Did that make sense? Something like that?
It does make sense. And it hit the nail on the head. When anyone who's left the military knows that it's hard. You go from having pretty much everything laid out for you, from where you're going to live to how long you're going to live there to what you wear every day. And when you get out, the world is just so open and endless, and you don't know what's coming. You don't know what's happening. So it's a little scary. Actually, I'd say it's a lot scary, and I didn't expect it to be as scary as it was. I got out 3 years ago, and while I am very happy to be on the other side, I love being a Navy retiree. It's different, and I was not as prepared as I could have been. So I can help people prepare, if that makes sense.
Yeah, it does make sense. It's because sometimes I see coaches pivoting from the corporate world, right? They're coming from, a big Fortune 500 company and all of that. And sometimes it feels like, and I can only imagine the military is that 10x, right? It feels like being part of that organization, it's part of your identity, and then you're shifting from that. It's like feeling kind of lost, and who am I and what I'm supposed to do? Because it's not just a well-oiled machine in the background that is working, right? When you're going to sleep, you're like, okay, I am this person. And then you have this big shift, and it's almost like we're adapting to our own skin. You know what I mean? Because I came from corporate and I felt like it, right? I'm not sure if that makes sense, like with what you're telling me, but
It
I'm
does.
just trying to
It does.
imagine the former life of a Navy person, Yeah.
No, it is. That was so accurate, everything you said. Major transitions happen to just about everyone. And whether it's you coming out of corporate, me coming out of military, the root of it is the same. We're transitioning from something we were very comfortable with, and we may not have liked it. I personally liked my experience in the Navy, but there are a lot of people who don't like their jobs, don't like the organizations they work for, and they come out and they're happy to be out. They're happy to be on the other side, but they're still lost, because they're experiencing a change. And whether they want that change or not, that change is happening. And as humans, we are naturally going to kind of be rubbed the wrong way with change. We get a little uncomfortable. And that's okay. The thought process behind it is that change helps us be better as long as we're taking it in stride and we're working to move past it and to make the lives for ourselves that we really want.
Mm. Okay, now I want to understand another thing. It's like you've been in this game like for what, 6 years, right? In your own coaching practice. You started as a part timer and then you went full time. Okay. But I want to understand the early days. How did that felt like it, especially the people you started helping? I want to understand eventually if you got to a point that you're okay, this is my tribe. because especially in the early days for coaching, sometimes, I'm not sure if you agree with that, but sometimes we're trying to help everyone. So I want to understand where were the moment you found out, okay, this is the person, the type of person I can help best, and who are they?
Yeah. So I actually started as a health and wellness coach, and I helped people eat better, eat healthier, exercise to the abilities that matched what they could do versus jumping in head first and just hurting yourself because you're trying to do something you haven't done in 20 years. So while I enjoyed that, I actually experienced some health issues in 2022, 2023. And I felt hypocritical coaching people to live healthier lives when I was struggling with that myself. So I took a step back, and I was also simultaneously going to grad school. I was getting my master's in organizational development and leadership. And I ended up connecting with a man who kind of became a mentor for me in the leadership realm. He's a doctor, but he's a doctor of medicine. But I saw traits in him of the type of leader that I wanted to be. And I found it really inspiring. So as I was going through that, and I had attended that Lead as a Coach workshop a couple years before, I said, whether I'm healthy or not, cognitively, this is what I'm interested in. And I want to help people be better leaders because I don't think there are enough good, great, inspiring leaders in the world. I think we have a whole lot of managers disguised as leaders, or a whole lot of leaders disguised as managers, whatever you may prefer to say there. The point is that they're managing people, not actually leading them, not actually inspiring them to do better, to be better, to excel in their positions in the workforce. So it was 2022 that I graduated from that program. In early 2023, I said, all right, I'm not a health and wellness coach anymore. I am a leadership coach. I want to help you excel and to be the best leader that you can be and achieve that. And I never really looked back. I have not done a single health and wellness coach thing since that shift happened.
Okay, now I want to do a quick exercise with you, okay, if you don't mind. So let's pretend I'm your avatar, your ideal client profile, right? I'm that best leader. Actually, I'm that leader that needs to do better. And I realize that, right? I just want to, I don't want to manage people. I want to really inspire them. So I'm basically your ICP. So in the first place, how would I be able to find you? Okay. Marketing wise,
I am on social media now, LinkedIn, Instagram, and Facebook. I do paid advertising. So if you touch my pages or you touch my website, you're going to see my face on sponsored ads. And hopefully it's authentic material. So you're okay with that. And I'm not flooding you with it. I have all over my website spaces to book discovery calls because I like to have genuine conversations. I don't jump right into trying to sell you my coaching services because I do not agree to partner with everybody I talk to. It is really important to me to have a conversation and to determine whether or not we're the right fit for each other. Because I am one of thousands of leadership coaches. So I know that if I'm not the right fit for you, somebody out there is. So I also build my network, and my network is intentionally curated to refer to each other. So I'll refer to other people, they'll refer to me, and it's fantastic. That's where most of my clients come from, actually. And overall, I think I went a little above and beyond on the question there. You can find me on social media or my website.
No, you're good. You're good. I'm just thinking out loud. I do have that problem, so sorry about that. Okay. I'm not interrupting you. I'm thinking out loud. It's like I'm thinking about the process. First of all, I really appreciate the fact that you set up some boundaries of I'm not working with anyone. I think that's such a key move. And I see a lot of coaches making that mistake because, bills are knocking on the door and all that. And I get that. Okay. No judgment there. But having that alignment piece is so important, right? It sounds like it is for you.
It is so important. I can't emphasize enough how important that is.
Okay. Now, keeping with the exercise, okay? I'm still your ICP, right? I looked at your content. Let's say it's LinkedIn. Let's say it's Instagram or even Facebook or paid ad, whatever that looks like, or your website, or even I listen to you on a podcast, right? And I'm like, hey, Alexandra, she seems cool. I want to see how does that look like. Eventually, I go through the sales process, okay? So I'm like, let's say there's alignment there. Okay. I want to skip that part. Let's say there's alignment. So I want you to walk me through how does it look like to work with you a little bit, behind the curtains so I can have a sense of things and what are the potential outcomes I can expect out of it. And if you have multiple offers, you can just pick the main one. Okay.
Okay. Let's focus on one-on-one coaching then. So
Okay.
I do one-on-one coaching, and I do it on a retainer base. So I have a set monthly price. Whether you want to work with me for 3 months or 12 months, it's going to be the same every month. There's no discount for committing to a longer term. There is a coaching agreement, and that agreement details the expectations I have of you as a client and the expectations you should have of me as your coach. I am all about accountability. Coaching is only going to work if we both invest in it. And so we both sign this document agreeing to adhere to these guidelines. And then we schedule your weekly or your bi-weekly sessions. I do either. It's either 50 minutes weekly or 90 minutes bi-weekly, and it's the same price no matter what. I am open to either option. It's all about whatever works for your schedule. And from there, we will initiate identifying what you truly want to work on. And these things, normally the high level topics come up in that initial discovery call. Sometimes people come to me and they're like, I cannot trust myself. And therefore I never execute decision making because I don't trust that I'm going to make the right decision. And then other times people come to me and they say, I don't know what I need to work on. I just know I'm not a good leader because my team doesn't respect me. And I'll take that and I'll kind of pick at it and I'll say, okay, they're not respecting you. So tell me a little bit about your average day. And I'll kind of pull at the thread, so to speak, because I want to open that seam up and I want to see what's a little deeper. Because as leaders, we get really close to our own problems and that makes it really hard to step back. So in the beginning of working with each other, that's what's happening. We're working to identify some of the root causes of what is creating the leadership environment you have created as a leader. And then from there, it's different for every single client. Because some people work through really quickly and we'll touch on 5 or 6 different topics in a month. Other people, we're working on the same topic for 3 months, and that's okay. That's just what they need. That's how they learn. That's how they grow.
Okay, as long as there is progress and each person has its own pace, that makes sense. Now, I'm curious about one thing because we dove into the one-on-one bit, right? So I'm curious about the group setting. It sounds like you do have a different offer, and whenever I'm talking about one to many, I'm always curious. So I bet on that bait. Okay. So walk me through that. I want to understand a little bit more about it.
I have a 10-week signature program. It's cohort based. It's called the Sage Leadership Experience. And it pairs one-on-one coaching with weekly group coaching with the entire cohort, which is 10 people. I might be growing that in future cohorts, but for the last one and this one, it's 10, this upcoming one. And it's pairing those coaching calls with coursework. So there's a weekly video lesson, a weekly webinar, and then some worksheets to work through. And those are to encourage you to apply the leadership concepts that you are learning. Without application, it is really hard for us to grow because we can have all the knowledge in the world, but if we're not practicing that knowledge, how do we know that the knowledge is even worth it in the first place? So the Sage Leadership Experience focuses on giving you the ability to apply the aspects that you are growing in so that when those days get hard, when pressure increases, when you've got a million priorities coming at you and you don't know which one's the most important, you have the ability to filter it and you have the ability to stay cool and communicate effectively and not kind of relay your own stress on your team because teams feel what their leaders dish out. There's no way around that. So if under pressure, you are showing that you are stressed, they're going to be just as stressed as you are. And how's anything going to get done? So I work on application. That's huge. And then the communication between cohort members is equally as huge. I want leaders to work through their problems with people who are facing the same problems they are. We are unique in the sense that we are individuals, but as leaders, our stressors aren't necessarily unique. So I love hearing those conversations because I'm coaching people who are working in positions I may never have held. I have advised plenty of executive level leaders, but I've never been a CFO. I don't do finance, but maybe I have 2 CFOs in the room and they can talk through what they've experienced to help each other. Now, I may also have mid-level leaders in the room. They may be a senior manager of a team of 15 people. I've done that. I have the experience. I can work with you on that and have the conversation, but it's been a few years. So maybe another cohort member is working at the same level you are. Overall, I'm building an environment where these conversations can happen.
Very interesting. I see a lot of coaches out there, and this is the reason I'm going to ask you. A lot of coaches are comparing sometimes one-to-one to one-to-many, group setting and all of that. I mean, you navigate on both, right? And sometimes I see that they hold back because they are comparing to a point like this is better and this is worse. and they're so used to one-on-ones, for example. Myself, personally, I feel like each lane to their own. It's like comparing bananas to apples, right? It's a different dynamic. You get different aspects to it. For example, I was part of masterminds, and I worked with different coaches and all of that. And I had like members in a mastermind visiting each other, so that dynamic, the community, it's just a different landscape and a different service or slash product. So I want to hear from you. When did you came up with a group setting? And if it was like a scary moment, how I'm going to navigate that comparing to the usual one-on-ones you're dealing with. So I'm curious about that.
So for me, it came up because I am trying to scale my business, but I need to do it in a sustainable way. I can only have so many one-on-one clients and provide the value that is the same across the board. With group coaching, it's not for everybody, but it gives me the ability to provide an impact and create transformation at a larger scale. So I may not be working with them each one-on-one every single week throughout the program, but I'm working with them in a way that is balancing transformation with what I can actually provide at a high level. I want to provide the ultimate service. And as a one-man show, that's really hard. So I needed to take a step back from one-on-one to reach as many people as possible. And I don't reach everybody. I specifically focus, my niche is executive leadership coaching, right? But I specifically am asking for people who want and are ready for the change. So when people come into that group coaching program, I don't accept everybody, if that makes sense. I don't have a waiting list or anything, but we need to have a conversation to make sure it's a good fit because I need you coming in ready to accept that something needs to change and ready to do the work and put in the effort.
Okay. Now let me ask you this. Have you ever had someone that you felt like was, let's call it a bad apple or not a good fit, but joined the program and you realized down the line, that's one. And second, if you see someone that is like not showing up, not putting in the work, not working on the spreadsheets you mentioned, not doing the homework, or kind of no showing the meetings, how you navigate that?
That's a really difficult conversation because even though people are signing the accountability, the coaching agreement, it happens every single time. And life gets busy. I understand that. For me, it comes down to communication. I've had a couple people who just completely ghost. And in my head, I'm going, you paid for this. You paid up front. Don't you want to get your money's worth? And maybe they did by attending the first 3 sessions and then ghosting for the next 7. But I follow up with emails. I don't do texts. I only do emails. And I just kind of shepherd them along. And I have come to the point in my life where it's not on me. I'm not their parent. So if they don't want to invest, it's sad. It's sad. But the rest of us in the cohort, we're still having a great time. We're still having good conversations. So while I do find it disappointing, the only thing I can do is communicate to them. If they don't communicate back to me, I don't think that it's worth stressing. And I don't think that it's worth the effort to try to force them to do something that they unfortunately weren't ready for. Now, moving forward, I am being a little bit more firm in who I choose, who I allow. And I think that's going to make a big difference because I do want all 10 voices in the room. So I am making intentional changes in that aspect.
Okay. Sometimes I'm not sure if you agree with me, but sometimes I feel like people, not everyone, right? But some people romanticize the fact that they're doing something about a problem, just to sleep better. Right? It's just like paying a yearly membership at the gym, but never going, it's like, hey, I'm doing something, right? So it's weird, right? Yeah. Now, I'm curious about one thing, okay? Shifting gears for a second, because there is a topic in coaching, which is like a hot one, and it's pricing, okay? But not necessarily talking about hard numbers, more about the mindset behind it, especially because you were like part-time and then you moved to full-time and you had to do some changes, right? So my question to you is, like, since it's a very self-worth path too, you're basically trading your time for dollars. Let's put it simply like that. But being a self-worth path, how do you think about it today? And were there any lessons along the way that shaped how you landed where you are, specifically about pricing?
Yes, to all of that. So I actually started by underselling myself, and it was from feedback on past clients and current clients who helped me gain confidence in where I needed to sit for my price points. As an executive level coach, I am a little higher than your average coach. And the reason is because of the transformation that I'm selling. And it took me a long time to be able to say that. I am selling a transformation. I'm not selling a service. So it really comes down to what is the cost my clients are paying to do nothing, to stay the same. And that's a question that comes up in every single discovery call. We'll talk for 20 minutes, a half hour. And as we near the closing of that conversation, I will ask them, okay, we've gone through a lot. What is the cost you are paying to not change? And I'll phrase it differently for everybody, but that's the short to the point version of it. And that's where the value of what I'm providing comes in. I don't want you to stay the same. As a coach, I want you to do better, to be better. In essence, I want you to transform into the leader that you are meant to be. So yes, that's the meat of it.
Okay, yeah. That insight is one of the biggest ones a coach can finally get, right? It's like the transformation, the outcome you're delivering. It's not based on a flat fee or anything like that. Usually, it's more about that. And there are multiple ways of doing so. Sometimes it's a success fee if you're a career coach, or even a percentage of revenue if you have that type of contract. Well, it depends, right? But sky's the limit. I'll put it like that. I appreciate the insight. Now, shifting gears for a second, Alexandra, I'm curious about where to take all this. You mentioned scaling, right? So, looking ahead, where do you see the business going?
I have some big goals, to be honest.
Whoa.
One of my biggest is that I want to continue expanding my impact beyond that one-on-one coaching aspect. So that is primarily happening with the Sage Leadership experience. And I love working directly with clients, and I don't see myself completely stepping away from that, which is why I intentionally built some one-on-one coaching into my programs. I just think there's something really meaningful about helping someone work through a challenge in real time and watching them grow as a leader. That connection is really important to me. So at the same time, I recognize my calendar is a limiting factor. So I can't do that full-time anymore. So in addition to the Sage Leadership experience, I'm developing some additional leadership programs, and they're meant to be asynchronous. I'm also speaking more publicly these days, speaking at conferences and workshops, and I'm doing podcasts, which is new to me this year, but I'm having a blast doing it. The point is that I'm intentionally creating content that can reach people at scale. Now, over the next few years, I do want to transform Alexandra Mahanna Leadership into a recognized leadership development brand. And the whole goal is to help leaders far behind those individuals I can coach. I think in addition to that, I have some significant personal growth on the horizon that's really going to help support all of this. For example, later this year, I'm going to complete a Doctor of Education in Leadership and Innovation. And while, yes, it will be very exciting to be Dr. Alexandra, I'm getting it in leadership because I wanted to build my skills as high as possible. And I'm not a certification chaser or anything, but getting a degree is really exciting to me. I think that it will help show that I am a capable and trusted leader more than just my words can show, if that makes sense.
Yeah, it makes sense. It's not backwards, right? You're not chasing the degree and then trying to validate yourself. You're already doing it. So it's different, right?
I am. The degree has helped me enhance what I'm already practicing. And that is what makes it important to me.
Okay, interesting. Now, whenever we're building something, there's always something we're refining in the present, right? So what are you currently trying to improve or tighten up in your business right now? I don't know, you mentioned an offer and a degree, but is there anything specific you're developing right now?
Gosh, yes. So I have a few challenges that I've been working to navigate. The biggest I would say is that I'm working to connect with more of the right people. And I can connect with anybody, but I'm working intentionally to connect with leaders who I already kind of touched on this, who are ready to invest in their growth. And they're ready to take intentional steps toward becoming the kind of trusted leaders that their teams need. So I'm aware of the transformation that my coaching and my programs create. And I've seen the greater clarity and the greater influence that my clients are gaining. Now, the challenge, I guess I would say the challenge isn't whether the work delivers results, because it consistently does. I think the challenge is consistently reaching the leaders who are ready for that next level of growth. So big part of my focus is continuing to grow the Sage leadership experience. I designed it for leaders who want more than just information. They want a structured, supportive environment where they can develop practical leadership skills and learn alongside growth-minded individuals. And they want to create lasting change in how they lead. Now, all of that said, because I did just say that I'm trying to grow my program, I'm also focused on attracting the right one-on-one coaching clients. That is very interesting to me because I don't take everybody, but I would like to start finding the right people faster. I only take on 1 to 2 clients a month, and I'll have 5 or 6 conversations a week. And I'm only able to do that because I'm not looking to be a millionaire. I'm looking to actually create impact. And my most successful coaching relationships are happening when leaders are committed and they're self-aware and they're willing to invest. So if I can find those people a little faster, I think that it would give me the ability to put more time into developing my group coaching program and my asynchronous programs. Yeah, I want people who are ready to be fully engaged. And sometimes that's really hard to find because, like I said at the beginning of this conversation, change is hard. Change is really hard.
Yes, it is hard. So what you're basically telling me is that you want the right people at a certain pace and are ready to pull in the trigger. And so basically what you're telling me is that those guys that are selling that, and they reach out to me too. It's like, I'm going to get you 20 qualified leads, right? And I'm thinking, dude, you don't even know my business, right? How does that look like? So
I get those messages and those emails all the time.
same guy. Yeah, I can imagine. I guess that's just one guy that's doing that and multiple accounts just to stress us out. I don't know. No, interesting. I love that. Okay. Thanks for sharing. Now, Alexandra, if someone listening wants to connect with you or follow your work, and by the way, we're going to have all the links in the description, but what's the best way to find you and connect with you?
The fastest way to find me is Alexandra Mahanna Leadership on LinkedIn, Facebook, or Instagram. Or AlexandraMahannaLeadership.com. You can book a call with me at any of the little CTAs at the top of my website. I love conversations. So seriously, just book a call.
You know, there were a few things you shared today really stay with me. Well, first of all, when we were discussing the identity shift, right? Coming from the military, Navy, and moving to coaching, you're like, oh my God, this is the exact opposite what I've been doing for several years, right? I love that you navigate people through change, and that's a big one. I'll put it like that, okay? A big identity shift. Also, that you told me you were first in health and wellness coaching, right? And moved to, and realized eventually it was more towards executive leadership coaching, that you felt that was not really your place in a way. So open about sharing that. You know, I really like the vulnerability piece of I think that's a true asset for a real coach, you know? So sharing your pitfalls, the obstacles, the challenges you went through. Really cool to watch you doing that, okay? And the last but not least, it's when you mention you can have all the knowledge in the world, but you really need to know how to apply and when to apply first in the first place, right? At the end of the day, we're in the information era, right? We have access to everything, and especially with AI, right? But it's more about a big puzzle that you need to know when to put in the right piece, you know, to really connect. And sometimes we don't even know what we don't know, right? So having someone like you navigating through that change makes it all so much easier, you know? But Alexandra, this is just my long-winded way of saying that I appreciate what you do, and I appreciate you being here and sharing so openly today, okay? It was great having you on.
Thank you. Thank you. It was great.
Editor, cut here. Boink.
That's it for this episode. This episode, as well as this podcast, was brought to you by Purple Circle, where we help business owners elevate their business to 6, 7, and 8-figure years, all without burning out. If you're looking to grow your business, as well as get the time freedom that you are looking for, visit us at joinpurplecircle.com and see what we can do to help you and your business.